What a missed opportunity coming off the high of last week, that unbelievable season-saving win against the Rams, and then our Rams lay an egg against the boring Bears in a brutal game. Pretty ugly one, and a Stafford pick at the end sinks the Rams as they now fall to 1-3 and put this season back into big-time question. We'll talk about it on today's edition of the Locked On Rams Postcast right now.
You are Locked On Rams Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on, Ramley, and welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Rams Postcast, coming at you live, as always, on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Rams podcast feed. If you don't know who I am, hello, everybody. My name is Gavin Carlson. I'm a former credentialed journalist in the LA area, now part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Our team is the Rams, and man, this one's frustrating, man. This is not a game that the Rams should have lost. Coming off last week, easily the best performance of the season, being able to steal a game from the Niners when it looks like 0-3 is going to happen. No Puka, no Cooper Kupp, all the injuries to the offensive line. The offensive line being awful. And yet we're able to steal that thrilling win, 27-24, everything feeling great. And most people are thinking, okay, now you've got the Bears, who have looked really bad so far this season, specifically the offense. I say looked bad. The defense has looked elite at times, but the offense has not looked good at all. Caleb Williams had the worst debut of any rookie quarterback ever, right? The run game has been atrocious. DeAndre Swift getting made fun of online for how inefficient he's been. Keenan Allen is overweight and doesn't play half the time. DJ Moore's great, but he gets banged up a lot. Rome Odunze hasn't arrived yet. And yet, the Rams' defense wasn't good enough. I know they only gave up 24 points, but 24 too many against this team. Like I said, DeAndre Swift was running for less than 2 yards a carry coming into today. He ran 16 times for over 90 yards, including that huge 36-yard touchdown. Right? I mean, other than that, he was still good, though. It's not like it was one run. He looked like he had some life to him. Caleb Williams did not look that great in this one, right? Still only goes 17 of 23 for 157 yards. You sack him 3 times. A lot of checkdowns from him. We were able to contain him in terms of his escape ability. Limited the big plays, absolutely. But the defense wasn't good enough, and the offense. I know there's no Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua still, but just the end of drives, not converting red zone opportunities into touchdowns, missing a field goal, just costly stuff. And then, of course, all capped off by the offensive line not getting it done. Matthew Stafford gets drilled on the very first play of that last drive, and he throws a pick, and this one's all but over. I mean, not all but over. It was over right after that. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I got to intro the show a little bit more. Shout out to everybody in here. Appreciate it so much. It was a real fun show last week. Great to see a lot of people in here excited about, that win last week. Today, a very different story, but still, shout out to everybody in here. This is the place to be after every single Rams game. Also, a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show. It is Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. We're going to start with how this game ended, just because, it was a close game. And, I've been going big picture in a lot of these losses and last week's win for the Rams, but this one was a close game. So you got to give the Rams defense some credit that they were able to get the Bears off the field. A 3rd and 5, the Caleb Williams show, which hasn't really been much of a show so far, but 3rd and 5, the run game had been working, but he goes read option there. Caleb Williams keeps it. This is with under 2 minutes to go, and the Caleb Williams read option does not work. He, good job by the entire front seven, specifically Fisk able to wrap him up. 4th and 3, the Bears try to draw the Rams offside. Give the Rams credit for not falling for it. It was pretty obvious that they were trying to draw the Rams offsides. Nobody jumps. You force a punt. Another great punt by the Bears. And that's what I'm going to talk about a lot on this show. the Rams were outplayed in every aspect, maybe other than the passing game. The Bears' run game was better. The Bears' defense forced multiple turnovers. The Rams missed a kick, whereas the Bears didn't, and the Bears had multiple amazing punts, 60-plus yards on one of them, and then this one here downed pretty darn well inside the 10 at the 8-yard line. So instantly the Rams are backed up, and when you're backed up, I know technically it doesn't affect things, but mentally as a quarterback, you feel worried about getting sacked in the end zone. The offensive line knows it's harder, and the defense is a little more aggressive. And so surely enough, there is pressure right away on the first play. Stafford, and he gets drilled. He tried to throw it to Demarcus Robinson, but that ball fluttered out of Stafford's hand. He got hit up top. I was wondering after the pick, my first instinct is there a flag anywhere? Of course. And I was hoping maybe they would call some, cheap, soft roughing the passer for Stafford getting hit in the head area. But because he's getting hit as he's throwing, not after, they're not going to call that one. It wasn't a penalty. And then Brisker makes the play for the interception, and the ball game was over right there. But some other key plays that I'll talk about now, multiple. The fact that the Rams come out on their first 2 drives and march down the field and only leave with 6 points is a huge issue. Huge issue. 1st and 10 at the Bears 30. On your first drive, you got to stop. You're in great position to go up 7-0, and right away, Stafford takes an 8-yard sack, and the drive feels over. We run for 5 to make it 3rd and 13 on what was 2nd and 18, and then we run again for 6 on 3rd and 13 to make it an easier field goal, but you don't even try to throw the ball either times on 2nd and 18 or 3rd and 13, and Cardi does make a 46-yard field goal. This one was okay, right? You go up 3-0, that's okay. Second one is frustrating. Rams get all the way down to the Chicago 18-yard line. 3rd and 3 at the 18, and Stafford throws a pick. Luckily, this Brisker pick did not stand. He did not reestablish, but he tries to throw a back shoulder, end zone fade, back shoulder, front corner pylon to Colby Parkinson. I get it. There's no Puka and Cooper Kupp, but really? We're going back shoulder fade to Colby Parkinson. It was picked. We're lucky that Brisker didn't establish himself. He only got 1 foot in before he caught the ball. You have to get 2. So it gets reversed, and another field goal from Cardi. This point, he's still perfect in his young career as a rookie. Makes it 6-0. But then the tides turn. Another Bears punt. Once again, so this Bears offense, awful in the first quarter and into the second. Just absolutely nothing. They go 8 plays, 9 yards. 8 plays, 9 yards, and they punt the ball. And this is where things started going downhill. Matthew Stafford sacked, fumbles right away. Didn't hold on to the ball well enough. Montez Sweat. The issue here, and they pointed out in the broadcast perfectly, Montez Sweat's an elite pass rusher. And I get it, you used 2 guys to block him, but you used Colby Parkinson and Jordan Whittington. Why is the best pass rusher on the field getting blocked by 2 receivers, tight end and receiver? Not good. Not good. I know McVay likes to be creative with the pass protection, especially given the state of the offensive line. And I get it. You'd rather block with 2 guys than 1 bad offensive lineman, but they didn't do a good job. They didn't do well enough. And so when it goes the way it does, then it has to be questioned. So then Stafford fumbles, and this gave the Bears life. It was 6-0. It should have been at least 10-0. One of those 2 Rams drives should have been a touchdown. And you're looking at 10-0 with the ball, and we're thinking, okay, you go up 13-0, you go up 17-0, you can put this game away early. But instead of it being 10-0 with the ball, it's 6-0, and then you fumble. The Bears suddenly have all the momentum. They start the drive at your 16. And this Bears offense is not good. It needs to start drives at the 16 in order to score touchdowns. Surely enough, that's what happens. And they didn't do anything even then. Their big play at the 16 is a 3rd and 9 at the 15, a 14-yard pass interference. Tre'Davious White, too much contact on Keenan Allen. We know how bad this secondary is. A lot of penalties in this game. The only reason the Bears were moving the ball early in this one, and this Tre'Davious White pass interference gives the Bears the ball at the 1, and they hand it off to Roschon Johnson, who punches it in right away. So you do all that work. You have 2 good drives. Meanwhile, the Bears don't even earn their biggest play of the first half, which was the 14-yard pass interference. And you're losing this game. From then on, you knew, okay, this is going to be a sloppy, messy game. Rams, once again, one more time. The Rams have 2 drives that go for 56 yards and 68 yards. That's a great start to the game, right? Right? Over 120 yards in your first 2 drives, and yet you only have 6 points. Not good. Meanwhile, the Bears go 19-yard drive, 5 plays, 3 and out for -3 yards, 8 plays for 9 yards. So they've got less than 20, they have 25 total yards in their first drives, 3 drives. We have over 120 in our first 2. And yet it's 6-0. Then we give them the ball at the 16. They have, like I said, a 14-yard pass interference. So still no real yardage from them. And then they run it in for a yard, and they're winning. At this point, you're sitting there going, uh-oh, this is going to be one of those games. And it felt like the Bears were going to have to be gifted points. Their offense is terrible. The offensive line stinks. Caleb is still not good. He still thinks he's playing at USC. Multiple times there's checkdowns open, and he's trying to evade 4 guys. And yet, with, like I keep saying, you're losing late in the second quarter, or midway through the second quarter. No, late in the second quarter. There's just over 5 minutes to go in the half, and you're losing. We'll talk about what happened from there after our first break here on the Locked On Rams Postcast, because, spoiler alert, it didn't get better. It did not get better. We'll talk about it after I come right back here. We'll be right back. Now, once again, today's show is brought to you by Game Time. If you don't know what Game Time is, it's an authorized ticket marketplace, and it has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And this is as true of a story as it gets. Literally tonight, I'm here in LA. I'm going to the Greek Theater to see a concert tonight. And I use Game Time. Literally bought the tickets yesterday. Game Time Picks made it easier. I was going through on Ticketmaster, thousands of tickets, way too expensive, of course. But also just like there'd be 2 seats in the same row and one would be twice as expensive. Like, obviously no one's buying that, but it's there, crowding up the app, making it complicated to find the right tickets. StubHub, maybe not as many, but about half, but still seats that are, way too expensive. No one's ever going to buy them. Game Time Picks, it filters out the fluff. I opened up Game Time. There was literally less than 20 tickets showing there. And it's not because there's less than 20 tickets being uploaded to Game Time. That's not why. It's because they don't need to show you all the tickets. The ones that are way too expensive and they know you're not going to buy. Now, you can toggle off the Game Time Picks filter and see all the tickets, but they are optimizing this to show you the only the ones you care about. So I was literally in the car, not driving, in the parking lot, but still in the car on my phone, kind of in a rush, and right away, bam, 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 found tickets in like 30 seconds that were clearly the best value and bought them. It was that easy. So use Game Time, take advantage of Game Time Picks and everything else. The all-in pricing feature that you must toggle, but if you do, shows you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. You get a panoramic view from your seat before you buy the ticket, the lowest price guarantee, Game Time ticket coverage, and so much more. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Rams Postcast, and a frustrated one today because the Rams in Chicago, in Chi-Town, against Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick that hasn't looked great so far. Well, he didn't look great again today, and yet the Bears escaped with a win, 24-18. Stafford throws a pick on the potential game-winning drive, but it's on the first play inside of your own 10, gets hit as he throws. I'm not blaming that one on him. The offense overall was underwhelming. We already discussed the several key drives early on in this game. The Rams have over 120 combined yards in their first 2 drives and only have 6 points to show for it. Meanwhile, the Bears literally had one 14-yard pass interference, but due to a fumble by Matthew Stafford, they have a 1-yard rushing touchdown and they're winning. Then from there, the Rams have another good drive. 11 plays, 45 yards. Was it optimal? No. Did they do everything they were supposed to? No. But Stafford completes a beautiful 22-yard pass to Tutu Atwell, a carry with Ronnie Rivers for 8. Jordan Whittington with multiple catches, 10 yards, 7 yards. He was pretty good. And yet, 1st and 10, there's a penalty. It becomes, I'm blanking here. Sorry. 2nd and 5. There's a penalty here, makes it 2nd and 15 with this offensive pass interference, and then it's 2nd and 15 incomplete, 3rd and 15 incomplete, and it's a 43-yard kick. Josh Carty, he's a rookie. You're an NFL kicker, you got to make a 43-yarder. It wasn't even close. He did make 2 kicks before that, including like a 47-yarder, but it's a 43-yard kick. Everything was okay in the operation, and it wasn't even close. So now we're over 160 yards with only 6 plays to show for it. And you're still losing, despite the Bears offense doing nothing. Bears start at the 33. They have their best drive of the first half, which is only getting 45 yards. And then Carlos Santos, he doesn't miss from 40. So 6-point turns or 6-point swing there. Even after all the frustrating stuff that happened, it should be 9-7 Rams, and instead it's 10-6 Bears. So frustrating first half. And from there, it didn't get much better, to be honest. I mean, Stafford, like I said, was okay. A lot of questionable play calling. I saw a comment in here. Let me see it. Yeah, Richard Reynolds says, McVay play calling was atrocious at times, passing when they should be running and vice versa. And, of course, their defense sucks. Yeah, there was a couple ones. Towards the end of the game, I think the second to last drive, 3rd and 7, you run a quick screen to Kyren Williams. He almost gets the first down, but I just don't want to take the ball out of Stafford's hands. He's the best player on the field, and I get it, you're going to have to be creative in blitz situations and whatnot, but I want to see Stafford have an opportunity to sit in the pocket, to find somebody. Guys like Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell, they were getting open. They were making good catches, and Stafford was finding them. The problem is just, as we know, when this team, with this offensive line, when Stafford's under pressure, it's hard. And I get it. You have to scheme, quick throws to get guys open without having to deal with a pass rush and everything. But quick passes take Stafford out of the game. Anybody can make a quick pass. Caleb Williams, all he did was make quick passes. It looked like Cliff Kingsbury was calling plays for the Bears. Everything was horizontal throws and quick runs, but too much of that from the Rams, in my opinion. And then, like I said, I get why McVay is calling those plays. The offensive line is terrible. It's so bad. But I don't know. We know it's bad, and we know there's no weapons. So it's the current state of affairs. You're so right. Real Jackson says the O-line and D-line were very, very bad. That's the game right there. Yeah, I agree. The offensive line for the Rams is not good. The defensive line for the Bears is really good. And then the Bears offensive line, which is not good, maybe didn't protect Caleb that well. We sacked him 3 times, but like I said, the run game was great. DeAndre Swift, 16 carries, 93 yards, that 36-yard touchdown where there were holes everywhere. Roschon Johnson goes 7 for 26. Even Caleb has 5 for 12. So it's 131 yards on the ground, over 4.5 yards a carry. Not good enough at all. Not good enough at all, right? It's just frustrating stuff for the Rams. But I mean, almost 5 yards a carry. In fact, I think it might be 5 yards a carry, just under for the Bears. So frustrating stuff. And, Stafford goes 20-29, 224 yards, doesn't throw a touchdown because, once again, all those red zone opportunities were failed. Luckily, we did have a nice drive in the second half that I was getting to where Kyren Williams is able to punch one in. And it came at a really necessary time because the Rams, they have another drive where they go 63 yards to open the first half, and yet they still only get a field goal. Another failed red zone. This time we get all the way to the 7-yard line, not able to score a touchdown. And then the Bears have their best drive, which featured a lot of runs, a couple passes too. Cole Kmet, 10-yard pass, a 11-yard catch from DeAndre Swift. Swift for 7. Roschon Johnson runs for 8. Caleb hits Keenan Allen for 6. Roschon Johnson for 5. And then eventually that pretty impressive throw from Caleb Williams to DJ Moore, easily one of his best plays of his young career, in the back of the end zone, makes it 17-7 to 9, and you're thinking, oh man, this one could get away. Rams have another great drive, just a couple plays. Stafford to Whittington for 16, Stafford to Tutu for 25, Kyren for 7, Kyren for 14, and then Kyren for 5 before Kyren runs it in. So you're, okay, look at this. We are now right back to where we need to be. It's 17-15, 2-point conversion, ties the game. Didn't get it. And then the Bears score another touchdown. This was the DeAndre Swift one. Just a 7-yard pass to DJ Moore, a 5-yard pass to DeAndre Swift. Nothing much at all. Cole Kmet does have a 22-yard play, but then DeAndre Swift for 36. And this kind of felt like the knockout blow in the fourth quarter, and it's now 24-15. Rams do go get another field goal, but then the punt and the pick. So just a couple small things. If you get the 2-point conversion, it's a 1-score game. If you don't give up a 22-yard pass to Cole Kmet or a 36-yard run to DeAndre Swift, the Bears aren't scoring touchdowns on either of those drives, to be honest. We already talked about everything that happened in the first half. Like BC says right here, we outgained them 322 to 264, but converted 25% of the time in the red zone, and they converted half the time. That's true. Not to then mention a failed 2-point conversion that would have made it a 1-score game and a missed field goal. So that's 5 points right there. Not to mention the failed red zone stuff. So yeah, there's just little things. The execution. This really was a game about execution. We had a costly turnover with the Stafford fumble that leads to a Bears touchdown. But other than that, there weren't crazy kick returns. There weren't crazy penalties, to be honest. Just that fumble, lack of execution in the red zone, lack of execution on the 2-point play, and a couple big plays from the Bears offense, which is what they had to have. Because they're not going to execute. They're not going to have 8 yards, 6 yards, 10 yards, 6 yards, 14. No. Their drives were penalties leading to a touchdown after a turnover or a couple big plays, right? And so that's what makes this one so frustrating at the end. It's a game you cannot lose at all. And now you're 1-3, and now there's problems. When we come back from our last break, we'll talk about the schedule going forward, what to expect from this team. We're hoping we can get maybe Puka or Cooper back. But this was a game you needed to win. Now you're 1-3, you're 0-3 on the road, and there's huge question marks with Green Bay coming up next. We'll talk about it after our last break here on the Locked On Rams Postcast. Now, finally, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. What up, NFL fans? You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats of you live play-by-play and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. Like, it's great. I use it. I don't get to use it in California, but when I'm not in California, I can use it. And like it said, you could be watching the game, viewing live play-by-play stats, and making bets at the same time. So if you're in a state where it's legal, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. I keep talking about this New York trip. When I was in New York, I used FanDuel. I made a $5 bet. It hit. I got the $200 in bonus bets, betted on the Yankees in a game, bet on Juan Soto in that game. He went crazy. The Yankees went crazy, and I won a lot of money. So, FanDuel, one more time, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Back here live one more time on the Locked On Rams Postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson. This is the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. Make sure to leave a like on this video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about the game. Let me know what you thought about the show. And please subscribe if you haven't already. I'm hoping to do my last ever Locked On Angels Postcast later this afternoon. We'll see on the timing. I honestly haven't been able to watch a second of the Angels game, so I don't know what's happening right now. I'll quickly look it up. They're down 3-0. This game might end pretty soon. So we'll see if I'm able to do that Angels Postcast, but this has been the place for the Angels Postcast. I did the Locked On UCLA Postcast real late last night, went past midnight. So this is the place to be after every UCLA game. And of course, as you can see here, the place to be after every single Rams game, right? So BC says I'm finishing 7 minutes early. I'm not finishing 7 minutes early. I still got a whole another second. He said, or segment. He says that's how much he doesn't want to talk about this terrible joke of a game. No, BC, I'm still talking. I was just saying, where we are. We're still got a whole nother segment. I want to go ahead and talk about the rest of the season for the Rams, because huge stuff coming up now. This felt like a game you should have won. You can go to 2-2 on the season because of that huge win against the Niners, and then you're feeling pretty good. You're 2-2, came back from the 0-2 hole. You got Packers, Raiders, Vikings coming up. You win at least one of those. I don't know how Jordan Love looked today. I don't even know if the Packers have played yet. They did play, and they lost by 2. Wow, and a thriller. There was a lot of good games today. My second team, the Saints, we lost a heartbreaker. Was pissed off about that. But a lot of close games. The Jags almost stunned the Texans. The Colts win despite Anthony Richardson getting hurt. So a couple, even this game, our Rams game was great. The Bengals game was closer than expected. A lot of good games today. But the moral of the story is, in this league, anything can happen. And we can easily beat the Packers next week still. But especially if we're coming off a win, we're 2-2, we're feeling good. You can steal one against the Packers. You expect to beat the Raiders. And if you lose one of 2 against the Vikings or the Packers, still, who cares? You would be 4-3. But instead, we're 1-3. And we're probably going to lose at least one of those next 3 against the Packers or Vikings. Not the Raiders. God, if we lose to the Raiders, it's over. But now it's looking like you're going to be 3-4 instead of 4-3 because of this loss. It's a really costly loss. And now you're 3-4. Then you got to go at Seattle, which is going to be tough. And then you host the Dolphins. By then, Tua might be back. It's Monday Night Football. That could be a loss. And who knows what happens then. And then games like the Patriots become must-wins. The Saints game kind of feels like a must-win at this point. You kind of got to win both of those games at the end of the year at home against the Cardinals and Seahawks just to have a chance, right? So this loss, the same way that Lions lost hurt because you probably should have won the game, honestly. You outplayed them despite the injuries, and you lost in overtime. Between that and this game, where we outplayed them today as well, you have 2 losses in 2 games you probably should have won, and that's the difference between being 3-1 and 1-3. So really frustrating that you are 1-3, and it's honestly not looking good. You host the Packers, luckily, but we know how those fans travel. We know the issues we have at SoFi. It might be not a neutral atmosphere. So, and then even the game you host against the Raiders, there probably will be more Raiders fans than Rams fans, unfortunately, in LA. So, not looking good at all. Before we wrap this one up, I will shout out a couple players that I thought played pretty well, because, got to end with some positivity. Kyren did look pretty darn good. 19 for 94 and a touchdown. A lot of people in the chat saying we abandoned the run way too early. That's what BC says. That's what Craig says. The play calling not good enough, and the run game was abandoned. It felt like the Bears defense, the front 7 is good. The secondary is good too, though, and they weren't really stopping Kyren Williams. 19 for 94. I mean, that's well over 4 yards a carry. That's almost 5 yards a carry, like basically 5 yards a carry. And that's not with multiple 20-yard runs or something like DeAndre Swift. Just the longest carry was 14 yards, and yet still 19 for 94. He was really efficient. We abandoned him too early. He gets a lot of credit. Don't know why we drafted Blake Corum. He literally doesn't see the field. No idea why a roster that's as thin as ours wastes a pick on a running back if we're not going to use him. Makes absolutely no sense. A couple other guys deserve shout-outs. Tutu Atwell continues to have some big catches, a 25-yarder in his 4 for 82. Jordan Whittington looks like a Puka Cooper type of guy. 6 for 62. He makes difficult catches. 8 targets, the number 1 targeted guy. He was good. But other than that, no one else in the passing game was good. Colby Parkinson gets targeted 7 times, and yet just has 4 catches for 33 yards. Demarcus Robinson is And so, really only Kyren Williams. Stafford was okay, nothing special. That pick that was taken away early in the game was an awful decision. Didn't like that at all. Not any terrible missed throws or anything, but not any spectacular throws. Rosenboom and Reeder continue to tally up the tackles. Quentin Lake as well. Quentin Lake had a nice sack there on Caleb Williams, a TFL as well. Jared Verse, he's elite, okay? I know he wasn't great today, but coming into this game, I felt like he's elite. He's going to be a good player for us. Braden Fisk is solid as well, but the secondary is just no good, right? Tre'Davious White, a costly pass interference. Couple times where linebackers are getting burned, safeties are getting burned. Just not good enough. So just a few guys that you can call solid performances. Kyren Williams, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, and maybe a defender here and there, but And if Josh Carty doesn't miss a kick, you could say he had a great game, but he misses a kick and instantly nullifies that. So we're going to wrap this one up here. Frustrating day. Rams should have won this game. They really should have, and they lost, and it is frustrating. So I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm going to we'll see, do a Locked On Angels postcast, depending on where this game is at. But either way, shout out to all of you for being here. Once again, leave a like, comment. Let me know what you think the Rams will finish their season. I was thinking 9-8, maybe even 10-7. Now it's feeling like 8-9. Right? It's feeling like an 8-9, which isn't going to get you into the playoffs. So let me know in the comments. That's the question of the day. What will the Rams record be at the end of the season? So leave that comment. Also, let me know what you thought of the show, please. This is only week 4 of the regular season. We're going to be doing this every Sunday. I want to make this show as good as possible, and specifically the show that you want. So tell me what you want in the comments. And finally, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to stay in the loop for the Locked On UCLA postcast, this Locked On Rams postcast going forward. All right, take care, everybody. Frustrating loss. Don't let it affect the rest of your Sundays. Hopefully, your fantasy teams do okay. Hopefully, if you have any prop bets, those do well to counter the Rams' loss today. All right, take care, everybody. Let's root against the Niners, although they're already up 13-0. Cardinals are losing, and we'll see what the Seahawks do as well. I don't remember when the Seahawks play, but let's root against them as well. They play on Monday against Detroit. That's right. So we could see, I don't think the Niners are going to lose to the Patriots, but Seattle could lose, and the Cardinals are losing right now. So let's go root against them. Let's go root for our fantasy teams and whatnot, and let's wipe this one off. All right, take care, everybody. Peace out, Ramley. Go Rams. Have a good rest of your Sunday.